For those of you who don't know where Roslyn is, many people say it's in the middle of nowhere. It's actually in the middle of everywhere. You know, the most impossible kinds of problems that seem impossible can often be accomplished or overcome with collaboration. We make a really big deal in our culture about competition. We romanticize competition. But really, it is collaboration and cooperation that really renders real results. Not so long ago, in the tiny towns of Roslyn and Eden, Roslyn is about 250 people, Eden is about 90 people, we felt the big bad wolf of extinction huffing and puffing, trying to blow our house down. At that point, we realized that we're either going to, each of us needed to be part of the solution, or we're going to be part of the problem. About 25 years ago, we had like 5 different restaurants between the two towns. We had also live and standing room only entertainment. We had churches that were well attended, and we had built a new school. But just as important, we had people in our town who regularly got together for coffee, sometimes twice a day, to exchange news and views. Some people call it gossip. But they also just wanted to touch base. So we're a connected place. We're kind of like family. We had 2 towns that were small, but they were vibrant towns. But our populations were aging. And many of the people, the older people, and sometimes younger ones, they were dying. And the younger people, after graduating from high school, they were finding their opportunities elsewhere. Clearly, this is an unsustainable kind of paradigm. Partly because our greatest assets were these well-trained, well-adjusted young people. And we were exporting them at a great loss to our community. Clearly, again, this is an unsustainable trend. So, you know, we talk all the time with each other, and it came up that, you know, look, we have got to stop just thinking about this problem and talking about this problem. We have to do something. So we came up with this group we call CARE, and it means Community Advancement for Roslyn and Eden. Very original title. So this is an all-volunteer group, and in the beginning, we had no structure at all. We had no organizational structure, we had no legal structure, we weren't a 50c3, and we also had no budget. We had no money. We just started like getting together and kind of, we call crowdsourcing solutions, brainstorming, collaborating. It was the beginning. CARE was a collaboration engine, we can say. And the whole thing ran on sweat, grit, and the pure pleasure of doing a project with people we loved. That was the only thing that really drove us. We had no idea of what we were doing. We had no road map. We're a little town. We don't know where we're going or what we're going to do, but we do know we're not ready to die. So we sought experts to help us out. We went to universities, talked to professors. We went to economic development groups. We went to the government. They had their economic development groups. We even went to churches. We were looking for anybody because we have no ideas. Hey, anything is better than what we got. So we asked everybody who was anybody to give us input. And we took their ideas and we diligently tried to work on them. And that work we did for about 2 years, but we found that it wasn't working. We found that the things that they told us to do, it wasn't working in our case. So we called all those experts together and we said, hey, we've been trying all those things you told us. We've been doing everything we can. Look at all the stuff we produced, all the pamphlets and flyers, and we did surveys, and we did all those kind of things. Folks, what's up here? It's not working. Long story short, those guys had no clue of what we needed to do because what they understood was how to make a big town bigger. They didn't know what to do for the small towns like ours. So after thinking about it a little bit, they reassessed and they said, look, you know, the kind of thing that works for Sioux Falls, Watertown, where they bring in a new business and the business, you know, creates that's not going to work for you. None of those strategies are going to work for you because none of these companies are going to come inside and help you. So you're going to have to build something with the talent and the resources you have. You have. And one more thing, you better do something that's really original, completely original, because if you don't, the larger towns with more resources are going to eat your lunch. You're going to be a has-been. Nobody will ever know it was your idea. So that was a kick in the gut for us because we had been spending all that energy trying to do all these other things that they told us. Now we're back to kind of square zero and not knowing what we're going to do. So at least we could say, well, okay, now at least the truth comes out. We don't have anything to give these people to come, bribe them to come into our town. We also are not on a major highway. We also are a small population, so we have a small customer base, and just as important, we don't really have a large workforce because we're a small town. So the kind of things they were thinking about in these bigger towns, not going to work for us. We also know that we don't have an infrastructure that will support a business even if it did come in because we're just a small town. So we have to start thinking about something that will work for us. So we start to say, well, what do we have? And that what do we have was we have each other. We also have more than our share of really special people, most of whom think they're normal. And we have a lot of experience working together and collaborating, okay? But what we didn't have is we didn't have something to collaborate on. So we needed something that was really out of the box, something really, that the other towns couldn't copy. We needed something that was so wacky that, nobody except us would try it. We needed something that was laughably different so that even if it failed, it would provide good fodder for jokes about our failure. So we look at what is our tangible assets. Well, our tangible assets is we have an empty building. And if we don't do something with it, it's going to fall. We also have a motivated, collaborative workforce that, will do lots of things and can do lots of things. Most important, we have a supportive community. People, if we say, hey, we need this, we need that, if people have it, they will bring it up. And if they don't have it, we'll brainstorm how we're going to get it. Very supportive, very important. But still lacking is a wacko idea. Off-the-chain project, okay? Something we can do. So in some of our brainstorming sessions, it came up, somebody mentioned, well, Diggs, you are the most wacko guy here. Because You are an international vinegar consultant, and you've written a textbook on vinegar that's sold around the world, and you're known for that. So in addition to those things, I'm starting to think, okay, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So I've stuck my foot in it now. But I realized, look, in my living room, I have lots of a big collection of vinegar because people send vinegar to me from around the world to say, what's your opinion of this vinegar? And I also have lots of vinegar objects, things that people use to make vinegar and things like that's connected with vinegar. You put all that together, and it spells Vinegar Museum. And that's pretty much how the Vinegar Museum was born. So it's really important to understand that throughout all this, a lot of people credit me for starting the Vinegar Museum. And I have to tell you that that's really inaccurate, okay? Because I wouldn't and couldn't have done it without my community. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to sit in, that even thinks about a museum, you know? I'm a lab rat, you know? I like to go out and do things, you know, that's on the cutting edge all the time. Museums never occurred to me. So I would be outside of my skill set, and the real reason I did it was because I wanted to do something with my friends. So it was a community that had the ideas, that brought the ideas. It was the city that gave the building for repairs and did the repairs. And we got help from all kinds of directions. One time we had to put up a sign. I just mentioned it in coffee, and suddenly people come up with skid loaders and all kinds of things, hammers, and we had more people who were stumbling over people to help us, okay? But the real thing about the Vinegar Museum, the real value in that museum is not the museum. It's more than a museum. And it's also more than about vinegar. The Vinegar Museum is a kind of a monument, you might say. It's something that we created together that's for all of us. That's the value of it, is that our community was able to create something all together for all of us. It's also something that brought us international and national attention. We're a little town, but we could find that, you know, if you look at a Rand McNally and Michelin map, you can see the International Vinegar Museum. Our town, which has low self-esteem, that means something to us. You know, when your grandkid calls you and says, hey, from Germany, and says, hey, I saw an article about Rosalind in the Berlin newspaper, that means something, okay? And tour buses bringing in fresh money doesn't hurt either. So it's not the end of it. We spawned lots of new ideas. For example, we had the International Vinegar Museum, and we also came up with the Evening of Elegance, okay? Two of the spin-off projects. The Vinegar Festival brings in chefs from around the world to demonstrate how they use vinegar. We also use it as a showcase for our local talent. We also have a Vinegar Parade that we allow everybody to participate. It's an all-inclusive parade. The first year, it was only 10 minutes long, so we went to the end of the block and came back, made it 20 minutes. But the important thing is everybody could participate. All you had to do is bring your tricycle, you're good. And we believe in promoting entrepreneurs, so we allow our folks to make a few bucks as vendors. All of that because we had this spin-off thing as a Vinegar Festival. Our Evening of Elegance is a program that basically it's a candlelight and white tablecloth multi-course dinner that finds a way to use our exotic vinegars. And our local people are the ones who invent new recipes every year. Think about that. No, not only hot dish now. We know that our people can be inventive, and it gives them an opportunity to be inventive. It gives them permission to try things outside of the box. This is exactly what it's about. We also found one year we had about 10 projects that had to do with vinegar in our science fair, okay? We also had young people who invented a vinegar milkshake. And that was so good that by word of mouth, they had people standing in line out the door at one of our local restaurants to get it. So, but CARE, the museum is just one of our tools. Because CARE really does a lot more than just the Vinegar Museum. For example, we organize volunteers to paint people's houses who can't afford it. All they have to do is just say, hey, we want our house painted. We get the volunteers, we get the paint, we get all the stuff, even people to give us loaders that raise us up to paint the whole thing. And it's free. We bring new resources of all kinds for collaboration and improving our community. The International Vinegar Museum is really more than just about vinegar. It's about an adventure for a couple of tiny towns in the journey of collaboration, brainstorming, because many collaborating a little can accomplish a lot more than a few doing a lot. Peace out.